have a solid one.
Glad we're in church because I really need you to pray for me right now. I wrote a novel to share with you, so bear with me. Good morning, everyone. For those of you I've never met, and for those of you who maybe haven't seen me since I was a little girl, I'm Jill Montgomery, Tony's eldest. I wanted to first say thank you for being here with us, especially to those who have had long journeys. Thank you, it's really an understatement of appreciation for all the gifts, foods, words, memories, and sentiments that you all have shared with us in this time of mourning. There has been an overflow of kindness and support. Thank you to the D. Martinis for the beautiful music you're going to hear today, Madeline Matt for your guidance, and to Father Tobin for presiding over Mass. On behalf of my siblings, Anthony, Dominic, Rachel, and I, we're so thankful for everything and for the invaluable roles you all have played in our Father's story. The church looks incredibly beautiful and is filled with so many flowers thanks to my dear childhood friend Carrie Smith and to so many of you. The flowers are an especially important part of the ceremony today. Our dad loved fresh flowers and he always had them in his home. Endless thank yous to our partners and spouses for the love and support over the years, especially over these last couple weeks. Thank you for your kindness, help, and for always listening with open arms of understanding, love, and for comforting our sadness. You have been our rocks. We love and appreciate you always, especially today. Gerard DiMartini is the Director of Liturgy and Music here at St. Dominic's, and when we met with him earlier this week, he asked us to think of the first word that comes to mind when describing our Father. When he asked this, I jokingly replied, well, I'm not going to tell you the first word, but I'll gladly tell you the second. If you knew my dad, you understand that remark. The word that was the primary consensus for us was pride. My dad was so proud. My dad and Uncle Keith were raised by their single mother, my Grammy Mary. She was supported in that utmost important endeavor by her community, this church, and by her wonderful family. She worked so hard and struggled with numerous health issues in her lifetime, and yet with that support she had through those trials, she managed to raise two young men filled with kindness, love, compassion, humor, strong work ethic, dedication, intelligence, confidence, and obvious mischievousness. My dad absolutely cherished his mother. At some point in the past, he had inscribed some words on a plaque for her. He wrote, "As I enter this new phase of my life, I can appreciate how much you have given and how little you ask for in return." I found this plaque recently in his basement. I imagine him saying those same words to her today as we lay him to eternal rest. We echo the same sentiment of his words to her, to our Father. Even when it occasionally felt like a lot, it really was so little. My dad had a wonderful youth. He attended some grade school here at St. Dominic's, middle school at Skinner. He graduated from North, class of 1981. He did also take some college courses through his military service. Many of you here today were classmates of his, and I've had the privilege of hearing stories and seeing photos showcasing the times of happiness, joy, and fun from his early years. I heard some stories about when Dad would visit New Mexico and play in the haystacks with his cousins and neighborhood friends. I heard how here in Denver, people remember climbing trees in Highland Park and doing bike stunts on makeshift platforms at Dad's childhood home just over on Spear. My mom, Mary, met my father at the tender age of 13. Dad was 15. They were each other's first love. Their young love blossomed and the relationship bloomed. I know my mom and dad shared so many amazing and exciting adventures together and with their friends. They had such wonderful connections with their people. I've seen evidence of their friendships and the love and music they shared, and of course the many parties thrown and attended. Russell, Sal. You all sure know how to have a good time. I'm so glad to see some of his best friends here today. In 1982, on the day before my father turned 19, and an early birthday present to him, I came onto the scene. I'd like to think I'm still the best birthday gift he had ever gotten. He loved taking me out for Shirley temples and always gave the best back tickles. I was present at my parents' nuptials a few years later. Soon after they wed, and his dedication and commitment to providing a good life for his family, Dad joined the military. He considered it an honor to serve his country. It would even kind of make him feel strange when people would pause to thank him for his service. As for him, it truly was an honor to serve and was a great source of personal pride. He served in the United States Army in the 535th Engineer Company from 1983 to 1993. He was a veteran of Operation Desert Shield, Desert Storm. He was always particularly excited about the gripping grin photo op that he had during his time overseas with the late General Norman Schwarzkopf. He was also instrumental in setting up the peace talks that helped put an end to the Gulf War conflict. During the time he spent in Honduras, he was humbled by the service of helping construct orphanages in the area. He often told us how he would bring in pockets full of candy to spread joy to the children in need, and how they would also remind us of him at home. Those interactions touched his soul deeply. He was a fine soldier and was even the recipient of a Soldier of the Year award in 1991. Dad formed many great friendships and connections with his brothers in arms. They grew, served, fought, learned, built, and even had fun together. He treasured those times with his brothers from other mothers, as he and a dear friend of his would say. During these years, we moved many times. Growing up until I was around 12, the longest we had ever lived in one location was 3 years. In 1985, my beautiful sister Rachel was born. She grew up to be my dad's best friend, the greatest support. They spoke pretty much daily. Rachel, Dad lives on her smile. 3 years after Rachel came handsome Dominic, my dad's first son, an announcing baby boy. He was so excited to finally have a boy. My brothers followed his footsteps in many ways, both in his military service, with the Air Force, and in some of his civilian career work as well. He was so incredibly proud of you, Dominic. He saw his reflection in you when you were born, and he will always be that glint in your eyes. Being in a military family was often nomadic, exciting and sometimes stressful, especially for my mom, who had to hold down the fort at home with the three of us causing havoc. I miss my dad when he was gone, and I miss him now. As a small child, I was once interviewed by some local press. And I said to them I wanted my daddy to come home for Christmas. He loved that I said that to them. Being a military family taught us how to grow, adapt, and how to make fast friendships. We got to see some of the world and appreciate our lives. I'm forever grateful for the life lessons that time gave to all of us. Dad's experience in the military helped instill traits of duty, precision, knowledge, accuracy, and an importance of attention to detail. We even joked recently about how important organized vacuum lines on the carpet were to him. These traits took him far in his civilian career phase. My dad walked with an approachable air of confidence and importance. A close friend wrote he was larger than life. He was an esteemed member and leader who valued excellence while also inviting ingenuity. He forged many special relationships with his friends and coworkers at ETI, Quest, and most recently Coresight. He loved to work and be important in his field. It gave him a highly valued sense of purpose. During this time period, my mom and dad separated, and dad went on to have the joy of a new relationship, along with a new addition to the family in his handsome son, little Anthony. My dad absolutely lit up spending time with Anthony. They enjoyed pretty much every sport in existence together. They also went to many Avalanche, Rockies, and Bronco games. Little Anthony is extremely talented in so many ways. He played baseball and football and now loves to skate and snowboard. Dad was so proud of you, Anthony. You were right. He did and still does want the best for you and cared deeply about you growing into a strong and successful man. I know you will make him proud. We are so fortunate to have you in our lives. Love and family were of utmost importance to Dad, and I'm glad we get to heal together. Dad loved the bond and connection of family from his aunts and uncles, cousins, his children, and his grandchildren. Dad treasured being a grandpa to Corinne, Isabella, Isaac, Mateo, Gianna, and Juliet. He loved the time he got with you all, and I know you all will miss his stories, silly pranks, and his gross surgery photos. The toes. Dad always battled a ton of health issues, starting with having his neck injury way back in the military days. He struggled with joint issues and recurring infections over a long period of time. He was in a lot of pain and was often seeking escape and peace. He suffered emotional and physical losses, especially the last 5 years, and these weighed heavy on his soul. He suffered from PTSD, depression, substance use disorder, and loneliness that walked hand in hand with that pain. He was trying hard and putting in so much effort to heal the physical and emotional scars he had suffered in this world. It was an epic battle that unfortunately leads us to today. In writing this eulogy, I came across a quote that struck me. The worst part about anything that's self-destructive is that it's so intimate. You become so close with your addictions and illnesses that leaving them behind is like killing the part of yourself that taught you how to survive. A couple of years ago, Dad suffered an accident that caused cardiac arrest, frostbites, and 7 rounds of shocks that brought him back to us. He was so grateful and felt so fortunate and blessed to survive. Not lucky, to be clear. He didn't like that word in these particular ways. I think it's because he thought luck was too random and easy for that situation. He often talked about how he had a second birthday or rebirth on the day of that accident. Today, I believe he has a 3rd birthday, March 20th, 2023. My brother Dominic shows the larger photo you see in the floral arrangement today, and at first it wasn't my favorite because his eye was slightly open in a weird way, and he was sunburned. Then as we printed it out and framed it, I really just love it. He looks so happy and free. He's out on the water with the wind blowing in his hair and smiling so big. Water has always lent a healing air to my soul, even when it shows in the form of tears. Sometimes you just need to hear the waves, see the horizon line, sit in a hot bathtub, or cry all the tears you have in order to wash away despair and renew hope. I am relieved he is free from burden and with his mother and making peace with his father. I am comforted knowing that he doesn't hurt anymore and that he again has the sunshine on his face, the wind in his hair, just smelling the fresh flowers and hearing those healing ways. Today we celebrate you, Monty, Tony Tone, Tone Loke, our brother, our dad, our brother from another mother, and our hero. A A friend of mine reminded me recently that love transcends time and space. The remainder of the plaque my dad had inscribed to his mom went on to say, "Thanks for being a wonderful parent. And today we thank you, Dad, and say aloha, or farewell to peace."